This is my backyard. I've always wanted to do something to it. I just never had the time or the zeal. Ideas. Ideas are great, but what's the point of an idea if it never leaves your head? Now, I've always wanted to build my own shed, have my own office space, and just a general place to store things. So this is exactly what I'm going to do. Put my idea to build a shed into action. The hardest part with anything is starting. So here I am, one foot in front of the other, starting. It may not seem like much, but if you start, the probability of finishing is a lot higher than never starting at all.
This is what it looks like now. I'm just gonna dig out these trees. That one he's cutting and then digging out. I'm gonna try and save or salvage these where possible. This one, I'm gonna cut it down, but I wanna keep some form of it so it has holly. Got some hollies there in the trees. Plan is to salvage that, and then we're gonna save that fern somehow. So now I've dug out the first tree, like that one. Used to be right there. Currently put it in a bag over there, so hopefully I can replant these afterwards. And then I need to dig out that. I already dug out a root there. That's it there on the floor. And then that tree needs to go. It's going to be across here. So there is where it's going to be. I think we still will have lots of space left. So yeah, we're gonna do it. Right guys, I've been at it for a while now. This is hard work. Digging that out is real hard work. Yeah, I made some progress, but overall this tree is determined. But I'm more determined. We will get it out.
Sometimes it's hard to see the wood from the trees. So we took the trees down. And with the trees down, I can slowly begin to visualize my vision. Personally, I recommend documenting your ideas, and that's exactly what I did. Or maybe not exactly. But also another thing, you don't need to be Da Vinci. You just need to document your ideas the best way you can. Now, this isn't your average shed. Well, at least that's what I tell myself. It must have creature comforts, electricity, and of course Ethernet.
Today I have been running the cable along the side of the wall, that right there, and the conduit, and then I'm gonna just leave it right there on the floor, so then I'll cover it up and do it another day.
The trench, it's about 5 inches wide and about 18 inches deep in most places. However, in the real world, I'd be so lucky to have that consistently throughout the entire length of the actual trench.
Okay, so another day, doing some compacting. The first 2 slabs are laid right there. Yeah, and we making some progress now. I've got some MOT sub base there just to build up this area because it's going down on a slant, just to make it all nice and level before we come on top with the dry mix. And yeah, I think we're looking okay, you know.
As you can see, mixing cement in a wheelbarrow was painstakingly slow. Also, very manual and laborious, as I found out. It was quite evident that I needed another solution. However, I trotted on as much as I could and laid as many slabs as I could until my back decided to quit. But I kept going and going and going. Sounds like the Energizer Bunny, don't it? But yes, I didn't give up. Easily one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was really good timing as well, because not long after finishing that, the material turned up for the shed. It's always really important to have good people in your corner, good people to motivate you when things don't go so well, or tell you keep going when you feel weak and feel like giving up. That's my father-in-law right there in the background. He is one of those people. He gave me a really good hand, but he's also very camera shy. My father-in-law did a splendid job getting the base of the actual foundation square. So then from there, I got on like a house on fire. Well, not literally, of course, but because it's all made of wood, but you get the idea. Doing projects like this, you're at the mercy of the weather. And in England, this is no exception. In fact, it's the actual rule. However, snow and rain only stop cricket. Everything else must go on. From there I tackled the floor with PR insulation in between the bearers, expandable foam in the gaps, and then a foil vapor barrier.
Okay, so today's job, I'm gonna put this wall up here, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attempt to put the purlin support along the top here so I could get the beams in. I think that should be okay. Wood piles going down, so yeah, we're looking good. So I just put the wood in, so that is fitting nice and flush there now. Cool. So what I'll start doing is putting these additional supports so that these will go in between these bad boys. So these are the ones that came with the kit, the big ones, but they're only free, and this seems a really long distance to span. It's just free.
Don't be disheartened by a little bit of mess, or in this case a lot of mess. Here I am still working in the rain, cutting the vapor barrier, getting ready to put it on the roof. With the vapor barrier on the structure, I could then cut and tuck it in inside the actual structure. This will later be taped into the internal vapor barrier. Now onto the warm roof. This is a PIR foam board, and then I used expandable foam in all of the gaps, and as you can see there is foil tape on to cover the gaps, so everything is nice and situated. Here I am rolling on the breathable membrane. This was done in a series of layers. Here I am having way too much fun, but in situations like this, sometimes you need to improvise, adapt and overcome. This was a tree that was cut down from the yard and it came into great use. See, now that's what you call green recycling. Now on top of that I used 11mm OSB board. All the gaps were filled with expandable foam. Peep the waterproof membrane, that is all taped up for continuity. All of this meant the wood pile was going down, so I cracked on. Here I'm doing the felt roofing layer. This was an additional step, totally overkill, but hey, it looked pretty good when it was done. However, we didn't stop there. When faced with big tasks, it's important to always look back at what you've done, refocus, and focus on where you want to go. Hey, at least that's what I tell myself. You gotta keep yourself going, right? With the rain setting in, it was time to move back into the inside. So here I am, looking at the internal batons. The electrician basically did the first fit, so this was my time to go in and install the insulation layers. So the vaporproof membrane, the actual insulation, and of course the vapor barrier on top of that, to which us amateur builders call the green plastic. Here's a vapor barrier tucked in from outside, ready to be joined. This membrane allows air to exit the structure but prevents water from getting in. The aim is to keep the interior structure as dry as possible, so that goes on first, and here we have the studs going on top of that, soon to be followed by the insulation. Now, cutting the actual PIR insulation board created so much mess as it's made of foam. However, I persevered and continued, and with all of the studs mounted, I moved on to insulating the back of the electrical boxes. The point of this is to prevent the cooler air from outside mixing with the internal temperature or internal air of the structure.
That's where the TV is gonna go, right there, right there. Okay, so I have mounted the extractor hole vent, whatever you wanna call it. It's a flap, so that's how that works. That will come in there. Got a pipe. I've noticed that the pipe thing that I have is the wrong size, so I'm gonna have to get that changed. Ew. But that aside, yeah, I'm sealed up. Just taping up all these little weird joints, and then I can start putting down the entire vapor barrier.
Now applying this vapor barrier was a little bit tricky, so basically what we're trying to achieve is to create a bubble around the entire internal cabin. So what that does is it keeps the warm air from the internal cabin from mixing into the actual frame of the cold timber. That mixing of cold and warm causes moisture, which in turn starts to rot the actual wood. So we don't want that. We want to create this nice insulation barrier that will keep us warm and trap that moisture, and at the same time allow us to regulate the internal temperature by using fans or maybe air conditioning going forward. We'll see how it goes. So the actual vapor barrier from the electrical boxes was then merged with the vapor barrier on the walls. That was all cut out nice and neat, and I used tape to, of course, tape off all the edges and the joints. So again, I don't want any warm air getting in any spaces. The vapor barrier from the floor was then joined to the vapor barrier on the walls. So again, we're trying to keep that little bubble going. So now we're going to look at the MDF cladding. So this is the inside wall that you would paint. So to cut all the rectangular boxes, what I did is I measured the distance from the center of the box to the top of the roof and either side of the walls, so the front wall and the back wall. From there I drilled a hole in the center of the point, and then from there I expanded the hole gradually, and using a multi-purpose saw I was able to gradually chip away until I cut out the entire rectangle. Now, because I have quite a few outlets, quite a few sockets, it took a little bit longer than I than I initially thought. However, the first one done, the second one done, I developed more ways to improve on the process and to make my life a little bit easier. You just need to find which method works best for you. So, 3 boxes down, many more to go. Everybody had a chance to do something to contribute. This is the first coat of paint going on, and then of course you can see the joint tape with the gypsum paste covering over all the joints. This is what it looks like after the second coat. We might give it another coat after that. Yeah, we're waiting on the electrician now. Now onto the storage compartment. We want to keep this simple but yet practical. So yeah, I started by insulating with a breathable membrane just to keep all the damp out. And then I used some leftover vinyl from the bathroom on the floor, you can see there. And then moved on to building some shelving. So used some, again, some B&Q pine. Started by using some offcuts from the shed itself. And then yeah, tongue and groove all the way for the actual shelf. And then this is what it looks like with my tools in there. A little bit cluttered, but work in progress. Trust the process. Next it was on to putting on the corrugated roof and dressing up the trimmings. While it's not raining in England, you need to make good use of the weather, so that's exactly what I did. I started looking at all the outside jobs that needed to be done before the rain started and the mud became a lot worse. The patio was extended by not 1 but 2 tiles. Here we go. These were kindly donated by a neighbour, which reminds me, every little helps. So make use of all the resources and people that you have around you. Yep. Did I say it's important to have a laugh sometimes? Yep. Here we can see moments like these provide that comic relief to sometimes stressful situations. Perseverance is key, and it's important to always remind yourself that what you're doing is but a piece of a very bigger puzzle. Taking breaks away from big problems helps to get solutions of these problems. Also, it's really important to have fun. What I have found is while having fun doing these tasks, sometimes you don't even realize the progress that you're actually making. With the weather looking really good, I decided to get started on the guttering. So, here it is. I also designed a routing for the piping so that it goes alongside the wall and finally into this drum. From there, there's an overflow, as you can see, that goes into this cavity. The cavity was expanded, covered with metal and hardcore, and then finally covered over. As you can see, I'm all over the place, but now we're going back inside. Let there be light. The electrician came, installed the downlights, all the sockets, wired everything up, and it looks mint. Now, as I upgraded the floor from the tongue and groove to OSB, I then had an excess amount of flooring that I could use to build the furniture. Now, if you can make a wooden box, you can make wooden furniture. It's as simple as that. Sure, you might make some mistakes, but hey, none of us are professional builders. Well, some of us might be, but we don't do this. I do IT by trade. The floor was cleaned. The vinyl was then laid down because it's a square room. It was very easy to actually cut. And then once the shape was cut, I can then use the adhesive, stick, and then go. I wanted this to have a nice sofa-esque sort of look, so that's what I did. With one storage box complete, I then made a miniature version to not take up too much space and leave enough for my desk and of course the chair. The boxes themselves are on hinges so that the top lifts up and you can put tons of stuff in there. It's a real game changer. I ordered some custom cut foam from Lowoods, which is a nearby store, and even convinced my mother-in-law to do some sewing for me. Yep, turned out pretty good, if you ask me. With the desk and computer monitor in place, it was time to then fix the TV. So here I am, getting everything leveled, and then, boom, just like that, TV on the wall. It's all coming together, folks. It's all looking good. Keeping with the grey theme, I installed some grey blinds. Never mind the sensor, I'm just trying to save your eyesight. Although the space was more livable, something was missing. We needed to expand the bar area, so that's what I started working on.
Quite a bit since you last saw.
Right, let's give it a twirl. What do you think? It's really come on, huh? This journey has been amazing. Sure, this has been a journey of a lot of hard work. I've pushed myself a lot of times to breaking point, but I've learned so much and I've grown so much. But surely anything worth having is worth working for, right? Thank you for sticking with me during this journey. It's been a really emotional one. In closing, I'd like to say, never underestimate yourself. Believe in your abilities. If you don't know something, look it up. Surround yourself with good people, positive people. Of course, learn, grow, and overcome. And if an IT professional like me can do it with 3 kids, so can you. So what are you waiting for? Special thanks to my in-laws, my parents, my wife and kids, my cousin, and to every positive person that told me to not give up, to keep going, to keep pushing. Please like, share, subscribe, and as always, take care of yourself.